Good morning. Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, January 12, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London, 9:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEXTV. We have one breaking story. It's coming from Defiance, Ohio. Apparently a freight train has derailed in Defiance, which is in the northwestern part of the state, sparking a fire and raising concerns about a hazardous chemical that's in the tank cars. The State Highway Patrol is saying that a 72-car westbound train jumped the tracks at about 7:20 a.m. this morning. 15 cars went off the tracks of the 72, and the tanker cars that they're concerned about contain sodium hydroxide. The state police thinks that those cars remain on the track, although they're not sure yet. Sodium hydroxide is lye. It can cause breathing problems and burning of the skin. As a precaution, U.S. Route 24, which runs nearby the site of the derailment, has been temporarily closed down. We don't have any more information on that. If we do, we'll come back and tell you. Now to our main news. Amlin, the Lloyd's-based insurer, has announced that it has written 30% more business at the key January renewal than it wrote last year. The company said total income to date before deducting brokerage was up to about £389 million. Overall renewal rates across its portfolio increased 4% compared to a drop of 8% at this time last year. The most significant hardening in the market occurred in the U.S. CAT business written by its London Reinsurance unit and Amlin Bermuda. The Evening Standard includes a little bit more on this. Apparently, this is coming from that newspaper. It says that Lloyd's of London insurer Amlin is predicting that rates will rocket this year. It goes on to say that the impact of last year's hurricane activity and the recent dislocation of the capital markets has started to drive firmer reinsurance rates, reversing last year's falling trend. Amlin CEO Charles Phillips believes that this year will see, quote, a cutthroat approach to writing premiums. No one will be chasing market share, he says, at the expense of profits. Quote, we are through the bottom of the insurance cycle with strong prospects for hardening rates across our business. It has dawned on the sector that they need to be disciplined. The fallout from the banking crisis has reminded people that they need to price things properly. In other news, Hartford Financial Services Group and Lincoln Financial were granted charters as thrifts as banks on Friday afternoon, clearing a hurdle for their insurance affiliates to receive capital infusions under the TARP. The TARP stands for Troubled Asset Relief Program. Hartford Financial has a number of life insurance affiliates, while Lincoln National is the parent of Lincoln National Life Insurance Company. The Office of Thrift Supervision, which is a federal agency, announced the approval of the thrift charters for Hartford and Lincoln on their website Friday afternoon. The life insurance industry has been pushing to receive federal rescue aid under TARP because their investment portfolios have been badly battered. The U.S. Treasury told the industry that only companies with a federal regulator are eligible for the program. Some companies, such as Metropolitan Life, have long held thrift charters. However, the industry is largely regulated at the state level. Hannover Re's CEO reiterated in a report published yesterday in Germany that the company is interested in strengthening its position in the area of personal lines reinsurance. Germany's second largest reinsurer is interested in acquisitions in the life reinsurance sector, primarily in North America, according to Wilhelm Zeller. Zeller told the German magazine Euro am Sonntag in an interview that appeared yesterday. Zeller had previously commented about Hannover Re's interest in personal lines reinsurance when announcing the Q3 results in November. Despite the interest in personal lines reinsurance, Zeller, who's going to retire in June, has previously said that Hanover is not interested in the personal lines business of American International Group. We're finally seeing some movement on the gas crisis in Europe. The Ukraine has signed a new agreement with Russia. that should lead to the resumption of gas supplies to Europe. According to Gazprom, the deal was struck this morning. It allows independent monitors to observe natural gas supplies transiting through Ukraine. It removes conditions that the Ukrainians had added to an earlier agreement. According to Gazprom, a delegation held talks in Kiev this morning, and the Ukraine government signed a revised rules on monitoring gas transit through the Ukraine agreement with no additional provisions. Russia has now sent a delegation to Brussels, the EU headquarters, for talks concerning the resumption of supplies. Apparently, the flow of gas will not begin immediately after the deal. It will take about 36 hours for the flow to reach normal levels. Many Europeans are already into their second week of freezing winter temperatures without heating due to the withdrawn stocks. You'll recall, of course, that Russia halted supplies on Wednesday. The dispute has caused Gazprom, which is a monopoly gas export provider in Russia, about $800 million. In Indonesia, scores of people, perhaps as many as 200, are feared dead after a ferry carrying more than 260 people and crew sank in stormy seas off of Sulawesi Island early yesterday. The ferry was about 30 miles off of Majin in western Sulawesi when authorities lost contact with it at about 2 a.m. There are conflicting reports on this. Some are saying that 100 people have been found. Others are saying that only 15 people were found. According to survivors that have been found, 12-foot waves hit the ferry before it went down. Some survivors are claiming that there were only 3 lifeboats on board the ferry, although this has not been confirmed. And in Angers, France, over the weekend, a fire destroyed the roof of the royal suite at the 13th century chateau of Angers, famed for its 17 towers. Visitors were evacuated. There were no injuries. The fire apparently began in the wood supports under the roof and was probably accidental. Some 4,300 square feet of the roof were destroyed, but the 15th century chapel was spared, along with the famous tapestries, most specifically the Passion, which was located in exhibition halls in the royal suite. The fortress-like chateau is about 180 miles south of Paris. It was built in the 13th century. The stock market is down about 75 points now. About 2 hours ago, President Bush held his last press conference and took a bevy of questions, most of them somewhat personal, although he did answer some questions about the TARP. He said that President-elect Obama has not yet requested that more funds be released through the TARP program, although Bush would be willing to do so if he received the request. The other little bit of information that we have before we go to the break is there is some hint now coming from Ford Motor that January sales have in fact increased, and they're unsure whether or not it's a blip or not. The annual Detroit Auto Show is occurring right now at Cobo Hall out in Detroit, so there's a bit of speculation that the car companies are beginning to sell cars again. Now to a word from our sponsors.
From prehistoric time to today, man's progress has been marked by his ability to fashion tools and use them to his advantage. From early humans making tools from stone, man evolved and was soon trading with other men. Money evolved, and tools such as the abacus to handle complex money transactions were developed. By the end of the 19th century, machines, such as the CATEX